G'day, g'day, g'day. Welcome back for a new year at Aussievision. My name is Craig, and this morning I'm joined by my lovely colleague and our UK correspondent, Laura. How's it going?
G'day and good evening from the UK. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. I'm very tired because I had to wake up early for the first time this year, but frankly, completely worth it. Always happy to do so, especially when we have a show as good as what we've just watched. We have just finished watching the Luxembourg Song Contest for 2025. It is the second edition of LXC after they returned to the contest last year, and we have a winner, and it's another winner in French, just like last year. This year's winner of the LSC is Laura Thorne with La Poupée Monte le Son, which translates to The Doll Turns Up the Volume. A great song, great performance. I think it was the standout tonight. Laura, what did you think of this one?
Definitely the standout. When I was watching through all the performances, that one just stood out immediately as being probably the strongest of the night. Very strong creative concept, good costumes, good choreography, and a great performance from Laura Thorne herself.
Yeah, I mean, from the moment this one came out, I always thought this smelt like the winner, and not just because it's a great song, although it is, but also because there was this sort of marketing gimmick that came with it, where it's been, is it 50 years since France Gall won with Poupée de Cire, Poupée de Sang, for Luxembourg back in 1965, and so I was like, oh. They're running with this marketing gimmick. They can only do it once. Surely this is being set up as the winner. And then during the show, we got the friend school interval act, and it was all sort of, it felt like it was going in that direction. That's not to diss this song. It was an excellent performance, and I think it was clearly the cleanest and the most professional looking thing on the night. But I did have the vibe that I'm like, they really want this to go.
Yeah, and if my math is correct, I believe it would be 60 years since
I
1965
can't
and
count.
since France Gall's win. So
We are all
even more
dying.
reason for them to even more reason for them to perform this very loving tribute to her. Personally, I think it's a very on-brand choice for Luxembourg
Mhm.
to tie in their history of all these years that they've been in the contest. Well, until they left after 1993.
Mhm.
Um, and
The
now
throwback. Mhm.
coming back to the contest 30
It,
years after that fact.
Yeah, it really ties it in. And I mean, people keep describing it as a tribute, but it's almost like a sort of response or something. Because obviously the thing about Poupée de Cire, Poupée de Sang was that France Gall herself had this sort of weird relationship with Serge Gainsbourg, who she felt like controlled her a little bit. And in Poupée de Cire, Poupée de Sang, she's singing about being like a doll who other people control and who she sings for. And now we have La Poupée Monte le Son, which is the doll has come back, but she's, grown up. She's got a bit of girl power behind her, and now she is her own woman going out and doing her own thing. So it's both a tribute. I think it's clearly this in terms of sound, it feels very reverential towards that sort of French school sound, the yeah yeah stuff, but it also is updating it and responding into it in a sort of 21st century way.
Yeah, it's a new generation of doll, and I believe she says as such in the lyrics. And you can definitely tell with the attitude, the charisma, the performance, the modernization of the sound, even though there's like a callback to
Hmm.
the earlier yeah yeah sound.
It's kind of
So
like the Greta Gerwig's Barbie to sort of like the 80s Barbie doll, if that's a comparison you can make. But yeah, great
yeah.
performance, great song, very well deserved. But coming in second, I think perhaps a little surprisingly, although as the show went on, I think it was less surprising, was zero point 0.5 with their sort of Mumford and Sons country-esque, folk-esque pop ride. What did you think of this one, Laura? Were you surprised to see it do so well on the night?
I kind of was and I wasn't. I mean, when I watched all the performances, yes, Laura Thorne's performance stood out really well. But I also found myself like she was a very tough act to follow, but if anyone could follow that act, it was definitely zero point 0.5. And I found myself being like won over by their sheer levels of charisma, even though perhaps Mumford and Sons music isn't necessarily my genre these days. It did feel kind of a bit nostalgic for me, but their experience definitely shone through. They've had what a 15-year career now as established musicians, very active in the Luxembourgish music scene, and clearly they have a lot of fans in Luxembourg who voted for them at home.
And they were all yelling for them in the crowd. I think this is the thing that got me because I was like, I didn't know who these people were. And it's one of those classic cases where the fans really get behind one act based on the songs. But then there's this other act that's very established in the local market who the fans aren't paying attention to and then ends up doing really well. So I think it was just because I Googled zero point 0.5 midway through the show because I'm like, why is everyone cheering so loud for them? And then it became apparent to me that these guys are actually like a big deal in Luxembourg. So
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed this. I thought I would love to go and see their live show in like a bar or like in a sort of smaller venue. I think at points it felt like a little bit like they got a bit swallowed on the stage and it felt a little bit like it, I don't know, they just felt like they were in the wrong place. It wasn't that it was a bad performance. It just, I don't know if it worked in the setting that they were in just there. But they're clearly a quality act. I'd be quite happy to see them back and I'd be quite happy to see them go one day, even if I don't think it was my favorite performance of tonight. Um, there were five other acts, obviously, who all came in behind. Zero point 0.5 winning the televote, Laura Thorne winning the juries. What's one other act you'd like to highlight that you really enjoyed this evening, Laura?
I personally really enjoyed Rafaela, and before everybody comes to me, I thought
Okay.
she had a bit of an interesting job, like opening the show. Um, Not easy, but she set the standard really high. And you could just feel her energy and her passion there. And I thought the song was a bit of a bop, personally. And given the songs that followed, I was actually quite shocked to see that she came last overall. And I honestly don't think she deserved it in the slightest. She was
I see why
robbed.
she came last. I thought it was fun. It was a bit it was the right one to pick to open the show because it was energetic without being particularly memorable. But I think that did get shown up by the end. It's a nice song, but like I'm not surprised that after six other acts, people had kind of forgotten it, basically. The act I wanted to highlight was Luzac, who came in third with Je Danse. I thought this was really impressive live. They sort of had these were they like AR sort of what's AR? Not AI, it's AR. Something reality. Altered reality effects where the
Augmented reality?
augmented reality, sorry, it's Sunday morning, let me live.
That's
But
okay.
the effects were sort of they had green lines going everywhere and there were copies of him going into the background. It looked really cool and sort of Matrix-esque. This song has always been I like it, but it's always felt a little bit I don't know. It's like there's lots of different bits and they don't feel like they quite fit together. And it feels like it just needed another a mix on it to get it there. But I thought he really brought it to life on the night. And so and he's clearly a talented artist. I will always be happy to see people representing in French. And so I hope he comes back. I think if he can come back with a song that feels like this, but a little bit more finished, then I think there's something here which they can work with in future years. I hope to see Luzak back again, is effectively what I'm saying.
Visually, I thought it was a really stunning performance. I really
Mm,
liked the sort of square LED lights. It kind of made him look like he was sort of trapped in this green, neon green box
mhm,
um,
mhm.
with his backup dancers as well. I thought the choreography was great.
It
I
was,
reckon
yeah.
if he just put a little bit more polish on it, I reckon it would like possibly rival even some like Nordic national final acts. So like your MGPs or your Melfest or things like that. It's just like I was thinking like I could
There's
see
something there.
some artists from there like
Yeah.
doing something like that. There is something there. I just really hope Luzak goes
It's
away for however long it is, a year, 2 years, however long he wants to, works on his art and comes back stronger.
looking more broadly at the show, another fantastic performance from that, like fantastic show from Luxembourg. They've got a lot of money, don't they? Always pull it out. And this year we had Conchita First hosting. What did you think of Conchita?
I thought she was having a very good time.
I think Conchita might have been had a couple of drinks or something beforehand because she seemed like she was
She
having a
she
great
she
night.
she seemed like she was over the moon. I really appreciated her positivity throughout the
Yeah.
show. I will
I'm
say
not
that.
convinced
And
that
I do think she's very charismatic.
100%. I'm not convinced I knew that she knew where she was, but it was still a, Kushida will always add something to anything she's in. Or I think is he going by he these days? I don't know. But
I believe Conchita is she when
Kushida
she's
is
in
she.
drag.
My apologies.
But
But
yeah, it's I think the line is blurring more and more these days, to be
it
fair.
is, it is, it is. Well, they added something really special to this, and I'm always here for a bit of a chaotic host who feels like they're there to have fun, and that was really what Conchita added to the show tonight. Coming back to Laura Thor, the last question I wanted to ask you is obviously this is one of the first songs we've had back from the season. How do you see this going when we get there? Obviously, it's difficult to tell with so many songs still to come, but do you think this has a shot of qualifying or doing well in the final?
Absolutely. And I know people might disagree with me. That's okay. But I think absolutely it definitely has a shot at qualifying. The like I said before, the costumes are there, the choreography is there, the vocal performance is there. I'm sure it will be improved again before May. I also think if I had to compare it to any past Eurovision entry, I would personally pick Loin d'ici
I was going to say
by
that.
Zoe. Yeah,
It is very that,
from
isn't it? Yeah.
Austria. Yeah, it's very. I'm not sure it's quite as twee as Luan Disi was, but it's definitely got that same sort of sweet, positive energy about it that I think will definitely win people over at home. And like, even if people might not be paying attention, they'll be like, "Oh, I like the doll one. I might vote for that." So,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
not sure that like the France Gold tribute act is necessarily going to play as the same sort of marketing gimmick when they get to Basel, but I do think like they just need to cover it in pink. They need to give it sort of really extra staging. And Luan Disi is sort of the model here. That was also really extra, and they covered it in pink, and she was in the Pretty Princess dress, and she was sort of walking through the magical land. They sort of just need to do that. I don't think it's a certain qualifier, but that's also because I haven't heard everything else. I do think it could. And it's a good piece of work which should make it if everything goes right. There's models for stuff like this doing well, which is the important thing.
There is
But
a
that's
path.
there is a path, and I have faith. Um, but that's what we think about Luxembourg Song Contest. Let us know in the comments which song was your favorite. Were you happy that Laura won? Did you think that 0.5 was robbed? We're really excited to hear from you, and we're really excited to share another national final season with you this year. We've been quiet on this channel for a little while, but there'll be more content coming in the coming weeks as national final season ramps up again. So looking forward to spending this time with you. Thank you for joining me this morning, Laura. Always grateful to chat with you, and have a great Sunday. Bye.